Hi, this is Ushio, and welcome back to Echo. In the last part, we kinda hit a bad ending. We got stabbed. We died. So hopefully this time we can do a little bit better. So we're in a middle of a fight between Cole and Jenna. Jenna's pulled a knife. We grabbed her. And that's how our bad thing happened. So this time, instead of grabbing, we're just gonna shove her out the way. Push. Cole, watch out. I yell as loud as I can before giving the fox the hardest shove I can give. I'll do it at an angle so she doesn't directly hit Cole. Cole leaps to the side as I slam into her, sending Jenna forward to faceplant into the rocks and dirt. I reach out to Cole just as Raven goes blurring past me. He leaps onto Jenna, pinning her down. Go, just go! We'll figure something out later, but you need to get away, Cole. Raven's snarling as he tries to keep Jenna pinned, something that doesn't match his cheerful face at all. Cole stumbles to his feet and turns and starts jogging away. Cole, wait, help me up? Cole seems to hesitate before finally turning around, leaning over to help pick me up. And with that we limp away toward the road. I think we're headed toward the mansion again, but Cole turns us toward the road to the town instead. The growls and snarls get fainter behind us, and I start to worry about what's going to happen to Raven. Hopefully Jenna just stops once Cole's out of sight. He seems to be the only thing she's interested in right now. Cole breathes raggedly in my ear, over the sound of his stumbling clops and my dragging shuffles. Cole, you want to go back to your house instead? Cole doesn't respond, and I look over to him to see him looking straight ahead, eyes fixed on nothing. Cole? He gives his head a little shake, so I go back to staring at my own feet. My ankle is numb at this point, which I guess is better than the lancing pain I had earlier. We're further down the road now, to the point where I can't hear Jenna or Raven anymore. Going this way might have been a good idea, since Jenna will probably end up going back to the mansion. Does she just need time to cool down? And where are we supposed to go now? I'm starting to realise that what just happened is going to affect everything. How are we going to even be near each other now? Jenna just tried to kill Cole. Jenna? Or John? I feel a sudden burst of anger toward him. A fucking serial killer possessing her, forcing her to do this shit? Cole's breathing is getting more ragged. I look over at him again, and I'm not really surprised to see tracks of tears down his face. Cole, do you want to sit down for a second? Take a rest? A few seconds later, Cole stops abruptly next to a small boulder, and I allow myself to be sat down on it. The ram doesn't sit down with me, though. Instead, he starts pacing back and forth in front of me, occasionally wiping his face with his arm. Cole, sit down. I don't know what to do, Chase. Neither do I. Just sit down for a second. Well, no, I don't know if we'll ever get out of here. Cole sobs and goes into a coughing fit. No, come on. We're doing good. We're at least getting somewhere. Where? This could go on forever. You don't know. I look up at the ram, trying to think of something comforting to say. Chase, I can't do this. I need a second. Cole turns and starts walking further down the road. Cole, wait, we shouldn't split up? Hang on. I stand unsteadily, leaning over to rest a hand on the rock as I watch Cole continue his trek down the road toward the town. Just wait, I need a moment. I'll be back. Cole! I feel myself start to panic as I stumble after him. I realise that not only am I afraid for Cole, for what might happen to him if he runs off into this fake world, but I'm also afraid of being alone here without Cole. I hobble after him, but I realise immediately that I'm not going to catch up. I watch him get further and further away, down the middle of the road. I wheeze, clutching my chest as I try to keep up, the sides of my vision starting to turn white. I'm not sure what it is, the panic, my breathlessness, or the world itself, but the whiteness seems to pulse with the faint sobs of the ram in front of me. Slowly, the white takes over, and I'm in a fog. That's not good. There's a distant rhythmic pounding that sounds like a gong. Where have I heard it before? I feel a twinge of worry in my chest that I'm going to be late for my next class. Class? Oh yeah, school. That's the clock tower that chimes every hour. Freezing cold leaks through my fur and stings at my nose. I bring my hands up to rub at my shoulders, shivering. The ground is covered in snow, even though it never snows here. At least not this much. We had a flurry once a few years ago, and even that was a surprise. But here it is, piled up on the ground. My mind is still catching up with me, feeling as if I've woken up in a dream. Fuck what happened? Cole. I was chasing after Cole on the road. It all comes back to me slowly. I was going after Cole after Jenna tried to... I hear clopping up ahead of me. My head snaps up, looking into the fog, unable to see clearly through it. Hey, Cole? My voice echoes into the emptiness of the university. Pueblo University. It feels like I haven't been here in months rather than just a week. I rub my shoulders again before padding up slowly to one of the buildings. The pain in my ankle now is a dull throbbing feeling, almost like it's dead. It doesn't seem like a good thing, but at least I can walk. It's just that I have to limp, feeling like I'm walking with a giant log instead of a leg. I focus on the building in front of me. I don't remember this one. In fact, I don't really remember any of them. The buildings are different shapes, just built with the same materials and colours of the buildings of the university. I reach out, grasping at the handle. It's locked. I stare at the door for a while, unsure of what to do. More distant clopping up the sidewalk gets my attention, so I start moving in that direction again. Cole. I call out more softly now, because I'm starting to feel afraid of where I am. While I can't see anyone, the fur on my neck is prickling, like I'm somehow extremely vulnerable. I guess the only thing I know for sure about this ordeal is that nothing is as it seems, and for some reason, I don't feel like I'm in a safe place. You were never there for me, you know. I jump. Cole? The only response is silence. At least it sounded like Cole, kind of. It was crackly and muffled, like it was coming through a phone. I start to jog up the sidewalk, and I notice that I'm stepping through the snow like it's not really there. We're not gonna hurt ya. The voice comes right over my shoulder, and I cringe and let out a yelp, stumbling in my run to turn and face whatever just whispered into my ear. I stare at nothing. It had that same crackly mechanical sound to it. My fur is now standing up all over my body, and I rub at my shoulders again, hugging my chest. A soft sound, maybe a footstep, behind me makes me whirl around in the other direction to find more emptiness. I stifle a whine and start trotting up the sidewalk again. This place is different though. Something about this place is dangerous. It's unlike the mansion or the cabin, or even being next to that hanging guy. Something could hurt me here. I don't know how I know, but I know it. Cole. My voice is getting more desperate. I've never felt more alone. Right now, more than anything, I just want to find Cole. You want me to be there for you? I jump, but keep jogging, basically hopping with the way my leg isn't working at all. That's funny. The sidewalk starts to curve, and I come up on the school's pond. I whisper to myself, fuck, where are you? As I keep walking, the ground no longer feels smooth. Instead, I feel little pointed bits of rock sticking into my feet pads, even though there's smooth pavement when I look down at the ground. I pass a little stone bench, one that Cole liked to sit on back when he was at school with me that first semester. I just can't, man. I wish I could, but every stupid fucking thing I say is so stupid. Trust me, man, it's not. I lift my hands up to my throat, shocked because I definitely didn't say that. My voice is coming through like the others, muffled, distant, from the direction of the bench. You don't understand. It's like I can't stop going over what I say to people, then I just worry about it for days after. Well, just don't. Just forget about it. Yeah, right. Seriously, man, no one cares. Just don't worry about it, okay? Yeah, okay. I turn around, moving back the way I came, not wanting to hear those voices coming from the bench. I move back to where I was and look around. The sidewalk branches off in several different directions, and I have no idea which one to take. You weren't there for me. What? I stand there for a moment, feeling the panic starting to rise. What's the matter? We're not going to hurt you. That's not Cole. It's not me. I'm hearing things. I close my eyes, hugging my chest again, stilling my breathing. Softer clopping sounds come from my left. I open my eyes and immediately move in that direction. Hey, we're just playing. I grit my teeth and mumble to myself. I was a kid. What was I supposed to do? There's no response as I keep moving. A loud pop makes me jump and cover my head. The hell was that? Was it a gunshot? I crouch on the sidewalk looking left and right, but not see anyone. Was someone shooting at me? It had seemed kinda far away. Whatever it was, just sitting here probably isn't going to help me, so I start moving again, a little faster, half bent over. To my left I see the football stadium, rising up into the fog. I'd gone there for a few games, and a dance that they held on the field for homecoming. Dude, I'm not feeling very good. Wanna go back and play something? Come on, I told you not to be like this. Can't really help it, man. Just tough it out another hour. Nah, man, I'm gonna head back. Okay then. Alright, Dayla. I keep going, whispering to myself, to Cole. Is that you, Cole? Can you actually hear me? No response. I keep going, listening for clops. And when I hear them, I follow. After what seems like about 10 minutes, I come up to a smaller building, one that the path leads directly into. I slow my pace as I come up to it, staring at the door. I listen for a long while, but there aren't any more clops. I reach out and rest my hand on the handle and give a slight pull, expecting it to be locked, but it inches open smoothly. Staring for a while longer, I finally pull the door open and find our old dorm room. Like most things in this nightmare, it isn't exactly the same. Actually, it's probably about 3 times longer, like it's the interior of a stretch limo or something. And at the very end of it, I see Cole splayed out on one of the beds. It doesn't have a mattress in it, so he's just laying on a flat board. Slowly, I hobble over to him. He's staring up at the ceiling, and I'm kinda surprised to see a slight smile on his face. Hey, Cole. Cole looks over at me, surprised. Whoa, hey dude, what's up? He laughs over the last few words. I stare at him. What, are you okay? Actually, yeah, I kind of am. Are you sure? I move over to the opposite bed, my old bed. Yeah, for the first time all week actually. I push myself up onto the bed, which is off the ground a good 3 feet more than at the university. My feet dangle over the edge. Is your ankle okay? I told you to wait. I just needed a minute. I frown. Seriously, you just left me there, in a place with smoke monsters? Cole grimaces. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. What happened? I slide around on the bed to face the ram, noticing that while they're tall, they're a lot shorter in length. Short enough that Cole's hooves stick over the edge. Well, Jenna tried to kill me. I rub my shoulder looking away. Yeah, but you know she's not in her right mind right now. We were talking about how maybe John... Oh, it's definitely John. James tried to do the same thing to me. Yeah, I was gonna ask what it was like. Cole pokes at the wall above his head, tapping it with his finger. Well, he basically just told me that I needed to find some stuff out, keep lies from getting out, and that he couldn't tell me why. Okay, I wonder what John's telling Jenna. Cole shrugs. I mean, can't be good if he's a serial killer. Yeah. Another period of silence. I don't mind it. Kinda feels nice. Not at all like outside, where I felt like I was in imminent danger. The only problem right now is that something smells kinda bad, but it's subtle enough that it's not really bothering me. So, we're at university, huh? Yep. Wonder why. You hear the voices out there? Yep. Things go quiet again, and I wonder what the hell Cole might be thinking. He looks ridiculously peaceful. Okay, did you find weed somewhere? Because you're looking as chill as I've ever seen you. Oh yeah? Yeah. Cole scratches his nose. Well, I guess I just realised some stuff. I wait, but he doesn't go on. Like what? Well, Chase, that I don't need you. I frown. What? Cole laughs. No offence, man, but I realised that I rely on people too much, you know? I still don't really know? Did something happen? I guess I always sort of held it against you, with what happened to Clint back in the day. Oh, the fight? Yeah, and also some things at college, but then I realised that isn't fair. He pauses, but I don't say anything. I realise that I'm really responsible for myself in the end, and I need to help myself. That's good. I can't help but wonder if now's the best time for this epiphany Cole's having, but it explains the setting we're in right now. Did he do this of his own mind? Is everything we've been through the result of our own imaginations? Cole sits up suddenly, rubbing the bed. And that I'm sick of feeling like I have to do something important, that I need to be important. He turns on his butt to face me and spreads out his hands. Because I'm not important at all. I'm a rich-ass, spoilt little shit, and that's about it. Come on, Cole. No, it's a good thing. I'm happy because I realise I'm okay with it. Cole smirks at me. I want to go to college, but I want to get an art degree. Then I want to get some job I can halfway stand and play games in my free time. He stares at me and I stare back. Okay. Cole laughs again. I know it sounds stupid, but realising this, it just feels good to feel comfortable in my own skin. I haven't been comfortable for so fucking long. Oh, that is good. I try to smile for the ram. But I mean, we need to get out of here if you're gonna do anything. Yeah, it's weird that I'm feeling this way right now, but what isn't weird here? Carl reaches out to the wall again, feeling it carefully. Anyway, when I said I didn't need you, it sounded kind of fucked up, and I still love you, man. Yeah, I love you too. But I needed to say it out loud, I guess. I don't need anyone to make me feel okay. I just need to be okay with myself, and I guess I am. I give Carl a weak smile, not sure of what else to say. Sounds cliche, huh? But it's true. I mean, I'm just happy that you're okay. You ran away so suddenly. I had another panic attack, almost as bad as the one I had here. Cole points over to the opposite end of the room at the desk. I came back from that stupid dance and had a bunch of homework to do for that computer programming class my dad made me take. I don't know, having that bad experience at the dance, then trying to figure out programming, I didn't fucking understand, and something cracked. Cole looks over at me. When I got back home, things were worse than they'd ever been. Then one time I dropped acid and thought I killed you. I made a face, but Cole waves his hand. Long story, but then I thought that was a sign that maybe you were the one that was holding me together all that time. Cole, I had no idea. Yeah, how were you supposed to know? I didn't say anything, and when you came back to Echo, I thought maybe I could pull myself together with you there. Cole grins. Then, after this hellscape thing and Jenna, I just got fed up with it, I guess. Cole shrugs. I don't know, I cracked again, but it's like I cracked back in place. I just feel okay now, that we're going to get through this. I finally kinda chuckle too. I'm happy for you, I really am. I just wish we could actually get back to Echo so you can feel better there. Carl taps his teeth loudly with his fingers, looks at me. Dude, I think we are. Huh? I look at him quizzically. Carl runs a hand over the bed again. I just realised something. Looking at this place. Can you see it? I furrow my brows. See what? This place seemed familiar at all, because now I'm seeing something completely different. I squint. No, looks like the dorm. Just a super long version of it. Carl smiles. Nah man, we're in the diner. What? But I can't go on, because as soon as I see the shape of the diner, the dorm room melts away like a mirage. Here we are in the diner. I'm on a table, and Carl sits across from me on the opposite table. Oh. Carl's smile stretches into a grin. I guess we see the truth now. So he shifted the reality, and he could share that image with him. Wow, we've been here the whole time? I gasp heavily, leaning on Cole as we make our way up the road toward the mansion. Looks that way. I think it all happened in my house. I look around me, in the darkness of the night. While the surreal feeling of dreaming's gone, I still feel like I'm in some kind of nightmare. Cole tried his phone the second we realised we were back, but it was dead. Here outside no one's around, though we did see a few bodies in the middle of the road. The hell's happening? I think everyone's gone crazy. Cole seems to be mostly talking to himself. I remember seeing Janice running through the street just before everything went to shit, and I'm inclined to think he's right. Should we maybe go to Leo's place instead? I don't know. I kinda want to find Raven and Jenna and break them out of this first. I mean, she's still got that knife. Maybe she calmed down. Then we can tell them and snap them out of it. Well, you think that others would come and find us or something? The fact they haven't. Carl grunts in acknowledgement, but doesn't say anything more. Meanwhile, the mansion looms ominously in front of us, and there's no sign of Jenna or Raven in front. There's the tree where we saw the body hanging, thankfully empty. I vaguely wonder if the newspaper clipping that the corpse ate is still there somehow. As Carl half drags me to the driveway, he hesitates. Listen, maybe you should wait out here. I'll wake the others up, and then I'll grab the keys, and we can drive out to Peyton, get away from all this. I laugh despite myself. Yeah, right, after everything we've been through. Besides, I saved your ass when Joe went after you. I might have to do it again. Carl smirks. Yeah, right, but if he comes at us, I want you to get the hell out of here. get into your car and get to Peyton. In hindsight, maybe we should have gotten my car from the motel and left that way instead. Cole shrugs. I'd have to come here anyway. I'm more worried about Raven right now. We're on the steps now, and Cole listens intently, his long ears poking up. It's dead silent. My heart rate starts to pick up as Cole reaches for the door, imagining Jenna, John, running out of the darkness, knife in hand. Very slowly, Cole twists the knob and pushes open the door. Thanks to the well-oiled hinges, it makes hardly a sound as it slowly swings open. We're met with darkness, aside from a few LEDs from the TV set. Cole leans close to my ear. At least the power's still on. I'm going to try the landline first. I nod as Carl and I step over the foundation and into the house. I'm happy to see that Cole's kitchen looks just like Cole's kitchen. Despite the terrifying atmosphere, there's a relief that comes with knowing that we've broken free of the nightmare, or whatever it was. Just then, a distant soft pop echoes from the town. We both look back for a moment, and I remember the sound I heard while running through Pueblo. Has someone shot at me? I don't have long to dwell on that, as Cole tugs me into the kitchen, purposely leaving the door open behind us. He's probably more worried what might be in the house rather than what's far away in town. The Ram reaches for the light switch and thinks better of it. He leaves me to lean against the counter before moving to the phone. I look around, noticing that the table is set with a few plates with what looks like squares of drywall on them. In fact, the whole table is covered in dust that probably came from the crawl space. I frown at that before noticing a clear cup on the counter full of some kind of yellow liquid. At the same time, I see a piece of paper laying next to me, standing out on the spotless counter. I reach out, pressing a hand over it and feeling the smooth piece of paper, its size and shape familiar. I pick it up, looking around for a light source before seeing the fridge and hobbling over to it. Line's dead. What are you doing, dude? I open the fridge, letting the dim yellow light spill out. I hold up the paper, which seems to be a copy of a newspaper clipping. This is the photocopy from the cabin? I whisper loudly. Meseta boy missing. Native settler tensions rise. 5th native boy goes missing in 2 years. Native chief says disappearances did not happen until settlers arrived. James Hendricks has been confined in the county jail pending further evidence. I look up at Cole. Wait, so was it James that was kidnapping children? Cole shrugs at me. I really don't know, man, and I don't think it matters right now. He did have a point, considering we weren't trapped in a nightmare anymore, though I still feel like something's missing. Yeah, you're right. I fold up and shove the paper into my pocket anyway. So the phone's dead. I think we should just grab the keys and Cole's ears prick up. I'd do the same with mine, if I could. You hear that? No. Cole moves to the stairs. Stay here. I'll be right back. I shout whisper, what? I'll be right back. I think I can hear Raven. I bite my lip. This new boost of confidence that Cole's gotten is great and all, but his hero's complex is about to get him killed. I follow the Ram to the top of the stairs, watching him about to start downwards before jabbing him in the back with my knuckles. I look back into the almost as dark kitchen before making up my mind and hopping down the stairs after the Ram. He jumps. Holy shit, you scared the hell out of me? Cole also shout whispers. Well, fuck you for thinking of leaving me up here. I told you outside we're sticking together. Okay, just hold on to my shirt or something. Okay. With that, Cole starts making his way down the stairs with me limping behind. Slowly but surely, I start to hear something too. It's muffled and quiet and sounds very much like a voice. The voice is calm and reasonable, and I'm pretty sure it's Raven's. Cole stops next to a door on our left, where the voice seems to be coming from. Wait, maybe I should open it? If Jenna's in there, it's not like she's going to go after me, right? Cole seems to hesitate in the darkness. I dunno, man. Don't worry, you'll be right next to me, right? There's a moment of silence again before Cole shifts next to me to the side of the door. Okay, but get behind me if she goes after you. I nod as well, even if he can't see me. I take a breath, steeling myself for what might be behind the door. Slowly, I push it open. It's also dark in this room, the wait room, I realise. The talking stops immediately before it turns into a whine. Oh my god, and the door opened by itself, this is insane! I feel for the light switch next to the door and flip it on. There sits Raven, tied up to a weight machine with what looks like several pieces of clothing. A few pieces of paper sit on his lap and on the ground. The husky is staring right at me, but there's no sign of recognition in his face. There's no sign of Jenna either, thank God. Raven? Oh God, it knows my name. Raven starts writhing around in his bonds. Mr. Ghost Thing, what do you want? Do you want money? Honestly, I don't have very much money at all. I work at the mall. Cole pokes his head in too. Hey, Raven, can you hear me? But Raven keeps babbling on about his job. Carl frowns and shifts past me into the room. I stand in the doorway, looking back into the hall, but only see darkness. Raven's still chattering when Carl reaches out, resting a hand on his shoulder. The shriek that Raven lets out makes my fur stand on end. Oh my god, no. Quiet. Cole presses a hand in the husky's mouth, muffling his nose just a bit, and that's when Raven's eyes widen. Whoa, hey, Cole. He stares around, wide-eyed. Wow, where am I? In my house? In the weight room? You okay? The husky looks at Carl again. Or how? Cole shrugs. We've got no idea. I look back into the hallway to make sure Jenna isn't coming after all that shrieking, and then look back at the other two. So it's that easy? We just had to touch him? Cole turns to me. I guess. It's like it really is just a dream or something. Hey, Chase. Raven's craning his head around Cole now. Hey, Raven. Raven stares around at the room again. Wow, just a second ago, I was in a really fancy-looking bedroom. It had a bed with curtains on it and stuff. Raven, how did you get tied up? Oh, Jenna, of course. Actually, she'd calmed down a bit, and I brought her into the house, and then she punched me. Cole sits to untie the husky, while Raven rubs the back of his head against the weight machine. And I fell down the stairs, and she dragged me into this room and tied me up. Raven smiles sheepishly. Honestly, I probably could have fought her off. But facing a tiny, maybe a serial killer girl with a knife's kinda scary, so I just did what she told me. That's okay. Do you know where she is now? I glanced back into the hallway. Still nothing. No, she went back out. She did come back like 10 minutes ago, though, and shoved these papers into my face. Raven points at the papers in his lap and on the ground with a freed hand. Carl gets started on untying the binds around his legs. Said something about these being the real letters, the truth or whatever. I limp into the room, partly because I don't want to get caught by Jenna if she suddenly comes in, and also because I want to look at the two letters. They're short. One of them is about a paragraph, the other one's only a few words. Because it's second nature now, I pick up the longer one and read aloud. I don't know what to say after finding your dungeon. No, there are no other words for it, James. It is a dungeon. After finding the boy's body, finding out what you'd done to it, there are truly no words, James. I only know now why you were never satisfied with me. All of your sweet words have turned to poison. I'm leaving you to the law and leaving this wretched town behind. I only hope that God has no mercy on your soul. I pick up the other letter, placing it over the first. You are disgusting. I don't have James's letters, so I have no idea what John was responding to. I also don't know who to believe anymore. John or James, or even the thing they were talking about, could alter the notes left around in that dreamscape. There's no way I can even begin to piece together who is manipulating what. But maybe because I'm in the real world now, and this is certainly real, this could be the actual truth. I also noticed a collection of dust on these photocopy pages, taken from the scrapbook and stashed somewhere, probably the crawl space, considering the state they're in. Is Jenna in the crawl space right now, searching for letters? Raven finally pulls his feet out of the ropes, rubbing his arms. He nods at me. Said she wrote that one in jail after James had written to him. I gotta say, since the whole knife thing, seems like she doesn't know who she is. I fold up the letters, putting them into my pocket with the news article. I mean, she keeps on going on about James and letters and stuff. Did she say anything else about the letters? Raven frowns, looking at the ceiling. She said something about not being able to finish the game because one of them burned and the other got eaten. I put a hand on my pocket. Well, I found the one that burned on the counter upstairs. I don't think it burned. We just saw it burn. I think to the tree outside in front of the house, but Cole shakes his head. Doesn't really matter now that we're free of this shit. Let's find the keys and get the hell out. Cole starts on the last restraints around Raven's ankles. I get up and limp to the doorway again, looking out toward the crawl space. In that moment, I hear a whisper of movement down the hall. I limp out a bit more, watching as two tall ears slowly materialise out of the darkness. For a moment, I see a young male fox in overalls in front of me. But that imagery dissolves as Jenna is slowly lit up by the light coming from the weight room. She's covered in the dust of the crawl space. I'm startled, but I'm not scared, because I know she can't see me. At least, she shouldn't be able to see me, but her piercing eyes are right on me. She can see me. Maybe it's the fact that it's not Jenna at all. Maybe it's because she's completely possessed, and it's John looking through her eyes. Whatever it is, she can see me, that's clear, because she immediately raises the knife and bares her teeth at me. I don't want the others getting caught by her, especially with Raven tied up like that. I need to give Cole or I the chance to attack from behind, depending on if she goes for me or takes a turn into the weight room. She's coming. I back out into the hall and away from Jenna, hoping to give one of us the advantage. But she's coming so fast. Otter, you're in on it with James, huh? Her voice rough and deep, unlike anything I'd heard from Jenna before. I realise then that there's no waking Jenna up from this. It's not Jenna anymore, and John sure as hell isn't waking up. John lunges, and I turn and run. The fox doesn't even glance into the weight room as he comes for me. I limp and leap through the darkness, left hand stretched out, desperately feeling for the end of the wall that will signify the stairs. I hear the fox breathing behind me, bumping into the walls. Finally, my hand falls through nothing, and I turn sharply to run up the stairs. As I stumble upwards, I start to wonder what the hell I'm going to do. Well, I could try to go for a bathroom, lock the door. It doesn't exactly help out Cole. I can't stop thinking about the newspaper clipping that John's hanging corpse ate. If I can get that, get all the pieces that it wants us to get, maybe I can end whatever this is. My thoughts are interrupted as something cold goes down my back, followed by an even colder pain, just to the right of my spine. I gasp, as if I'm falling into water, but continue upwards. I can hear Cole shouting, too, at the base of the stairs. There's too much distance between me and him for the ramp to be of any help. As I reach the top of the stairs, there's a loud thwack sound to the left of my head, just as I stumble into the kitchen. A quick glance over my shoulder, and I see John yanking the knife from the wall. Almost sobbing now, I jump limp my way to the front door, hearing John scream curses at me from behind. While I want Cole's help right now, I also don't want him to catch up. I don't want John turning on him. I struggle with the door for a moment, for some reason trying to push on it rather than pull. It's only a few seconds, but enough for John to gain on me, and swing with the knife again as I pull open the door. I scream and duck, hearing the metal clang against the door hinge. I lunge forward, out of the door and into the cool of the early morning. The sky is a soft blue as dawn breaks. I limp as fast as I can down the steps, down the driveway, toward the slope past the road, but John catches me again as I'm on the road. This time he grabs my shirt, holding on to me. I turn to face him as he draws the knife back for another swing, but at that moment we go over the slope. Even in my adrenaline-fueled state, the fall is painful, and each time I roll, I can feel the stab of rock sticking into my skin. The final bounce is punctuated with a blinding pain in my forehead as it collides with a small boulder. I shakily get to my feet, looking left and right for the tree, panicking until I realise it's right in front of me. I stumble right into it, clinging to it. I scan the dirt, but there's nothing. No paper at all. Jenna's getting up, just 5 feet away now. I can see blood oozing through several scratches on her, his body. The knife is still in his hand, and he zeroes in on me again. I cower and move behind the tree, my plan ruined. And that's when my face comes level with a hollow in the tree. Automatically I reach in, feeling around, feeling mostly spiderwebs and twigs before. Carl appears at the top of the slope. Hey, stop! John whirls around, knife raised, as he immediately moves in the other direction. You. My hand finds the corner of a piece of paper, and I pull out the newspaper clipping. I scan over it. It's another quote from Cole's mother. I begin to read, my voice cracking as I manage a shout, but I was able to open a lockbox kept by James himself. It was full of jail letters between him and John. John freezes in his steps, knife still raised, looking up at Cole. I don't want to sully the Hendricks name, but if what Judd said is true, James framed him of the most heinous crime in Echo's history. In the meantime, Cole stumbles down the slope, moving carefully around the fox to stand next to me. I reach into my pocket and pull out the other pieces of paper. I hold them up. John, we know the truth. I'm going to tell everyone in my documentary, okay? I'm a journalist, a reporter. We see the truth. John turns toward me, knife slowly lowering. And just like that, it's not John anymore. It's Jenna. The knife clatters to the rocks. Cole reaches out to hold me, and I collapse against him, everything numb. Jenna's hand goes to her mouth, staring at the knife, staring at me and Cole before she screams. In the distance, I can hear sirens. We broke the curse. Is history subjective in nature? The story of James and John sure seems to be. All we have are a few written letters, and from these we must try to draw some sort of conclusion. In the end, it can't really be said what exactly happened almost 150 years ago. Instead, we can only provide the facts. Several native children went missing. James was accused of the crime before claiming that his secret lover John was the culprit. In his jail letters, Jonathan claims that he was framed by James. Because of the vigilante justice dealt out by the town, John never had a trial, and no record of the evidence collected exists. James, because of his influence, was allowed to leave and live hundreds of miles away on the west coast, where he eventually died. He never wrote of the incident again. Many believe that as journalists, we're supposed to be unbiased and only state facts. That's not exactly true, as long as it's clear that we're stating an opinion. So I'd like to do that now. It's my opinion that John is innocent. We should be presumed innocent until proven guilty, after all, and Jonathan has never even had that chance. According to accounts written by other townspeople, James was a deceitful and emotionally manipulative man. There are many accounts of his prejudices against the native people. In the end, the records that exist of John gives no reason to disbelieve him, while James has given us every reason to doubt him. But because time is evidence's worst enemy, it has been 150 years, the definitive answer will likely never be known. Like much of Echo, the story is lost to time. I'm Jace Hunter at Pueblo University, and this has been a special report on the town of Echo. I look over at the report again, eyes stinging from staring at a monitor for too long. I'm a terrible writer, and the words of the script seem so clumsy. It ain't read okay to me, dude. I shrug and decide I'll have time tomorrow to polish it up a bit. It's weird, writing the last word to a script I started almost 1.5 years ago. It's changed a lot since then, moving from a focus on hysteria to an old mansion mystery. My mind wanders back to that spring break in Echo. I still shake my head when I think about it, how it completely shattered my view on reality, my view on life. Of course, I couldn't come back to school right afterwards. I hadn't finished my project after all, you know. Actually, I needed therapy. We all did. Except Cole, he seems to have come out of it better than he had been going into it somehow. Everyone handles trauma differently, Jenna would say. In fact, she has a lot of things to say about what happened. While she didn't come out quite as unscathed as Cole, she's still tougher than me, and actually went right back to school that summer. Now she's at Western, and a lot of her research is focused on folie à deux, or shared psychosis. Because of how everything went down, the things we felt and what we saw, Jenna's convinced that that's what took place. She brought up the way we primed each other to hear and see things. The way the things we saw didn't seem to have any rhyme or reason for what they were. While I do believe a lot of what we saw came from ourselves, I'm not fully convinced that explains all of it. Mainly because the rest of the townspeople went through their own nightmare that night. I still can't believe the things that Leo and TJ went through. Still, I'm glad she can find a way to explain it to herself. She told me over the phone just last week that she hasn't forgiven herself, that she should have been stronger than that. I've told her over and over that it's not her fault, but I guess after coming to with a knife in her hand and her friend stabbed, it left an impression. I rest my hand on the thick scar through my shirt that runs all the way down my back and wiggle the ankle that causes me a permanent limp. And still, this whole incident, it actually brought us closer. At least for Jenna, Cole and I. Hell, even Raven. It's still painful to think about how Flynn, Leo and TJ, poor TJ, aren't really talking anymore. I guess it's the fact that we went through completely different things during the incident. Of course we told the police that it was somebody else that had stabbed me while the town descended into madness. Echo, a name now famous worldwide after the mass hysteria incident that truly brought a dying town to its ultimate end. At least in terms of being a failed town. While no one really lives there now, it's certainly become a tourist attraction. Countless news reports, TV shows, and paranormal investigators descended to the area, especially once the news story changed from "spree killings leave 9 dead" to "whole town went nuts." Luckily, Not a lot of focus fell on us since we weren't exactly living in Echo anymore. We just got into the ambulances and left. Carl, on the other hand, along with the rest of his family, are still harassed by the media. Carl's mum, Trisha, is a pro at handling the media though. I still wonder about what exactly it was that stopped her from publishing all her findings. I'll have to ask her sometime, considering I'm practically family due to how much I visit with Cole. In the end, the relationship that I had with Cole in the dreamscape didn't exactly survive in the real world. Cole told me that he didn't know where he ended and James began, even when he rejected James's influence. We couldn't really trust anything that happened there. But still, he's my best friend, and I plan to spend the summer over at his house when I start my next project on Echo. Yeah, I realise that there are a lot more stories to cover over there, and I plan to uncover them. It's almost healing, going back now without any fear. My own little therapy. I guess I always end up going back there eventually. The sound of clops to my right makes me look up just as a bulky ram fills the frame of the doorway. Cole leans against it, rolling his eyes. Dude, you told me you were going to work on that tomorrow? I smile and rest my chin on my palm. Was just giving it a quick once over before we film? Yeah, sure. Anyway, I'm going for pizza. You come in? I'm not really hungry, but taking my mind off Echo for just a little bit sounds good. Cole always cheered me up anyway. I nod over at the corner of our dorm room, where Cole's papier-mâché sculpture of a tortured-looking bird sits. Do you have to finish that thing by tomorrow? Cole shrugs. I got like 3 energy drinks in the fridge, I'll be good. Come on, let's get going. I want to meet Caitlin there too. I get up slowly, stretching out my back. Oh, I see, so I'm just your wingman. Cole smirks. It's not like that, dude. I just like hanging out with her. Now let's go. Cole hangs on the frame, started to swing himself out into the hall. Hey, Cole. Cole rebounds back into the room, leaning in toward me. Yo? Thanks for being my friend. I don't know if it was all the reminiscing about what happened the spring before last, or if I'm still not over what happened, but Cole seems to understand. He smiles and reaches out a big hand toward me, which I grasp. Course, man, and if you need to talk about something, I'm here. Do you want to talk now? I shake my head quickly. Nah, I'm good. I just wanted to say it. Carl smiles. Well, thanks for saying it. Now let's go. Carl again swings on the frame out into the hall. There's some loud clopping before I hear him shouting at someone and giving them what sounds like a high five. I smile to myself as I look at the document on the screen one last time, before closing the laptop and following Carl out into the hallway. That is a good ending. Nothing like being stabbed in the last ending. This time we survived the situation and everyone, more or less, came out for it better. I don't know what happened to TJ, Leo and Flynn. We don't know what happened. But for Chase, Cole, Jenna and Raven, it seemed to work out a little bit better. Okay, looks like we have finished Cole's route. I'm aware that there is another option that I didn't pick, so I might have a little bit of a look at that in the next video, but otherwise I think we are done with this route. This is Usho signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.